What the FLDigi function is a modem, as I've discussed, to give you an interface between your computer, your signal link device, and your radio. So that if you want to use electronic communications. So I'll go down here and pre-select FL message. And we now have a form here that we can go in and select the various operating forms to transfer information. This particular form that comes up is the default form, which is plain text message, and it will give you general message forms. To go in and fill that out, if you want to send that to all stations, you can type in all stations, and if you want to date that at that particular time, you can go down and select the particular date that you're functioning with, and it could be from net control, and the subject could be whatever it is, general text, information, so on and so forth. Now we'll go in and select another form in here that's going to be popular in emergency communications. By selecting a different form, we go to Forms, scroll down through and see the various forms that are available to us. We'll scroll down through this and we'll go to ICS forms because this is one that you're going to be seeing most often. It's a communications form much like the American Radio Relay League radiogram, and the two forms will interface with each other, which we'll discuss at a later time. We'll select the ICS form 213, and you'll notice that it has an originator, which is the station that is sending the message, and once it has been received at the location, the responder form, which gives you a section to respond back to the originator of the message. So we'll send this message to KC4WCG, and it's going to be from my station, K0KEX, and the subject is test message. Now we have formulated a message here to start up, and we'll select the date we're going to send that particular message. We can send it this date, or we can specify any date in the future. And at this particular time, if we want to take the time from the computer and select it, we can do that, and it will give you 1027 local, which is actually the time that we're dealing with. We'll send this test message. But before we send it, we'll do a few things. We'll go up to File, and we'll say Save As, and this particular message has now been dated, and we can add to that test message Now we'll save that message in the ICS form function right here, and we have saved that message. We're prepared to send that message, and we'll scroll down here and it will give you various speeds that you can send this message to the other station. And we can select a different function down here, such as BPSK63. If you noted when I changed that, the various timing on that message will tell you exactly how long it will take to send that specific message through the FLDigi modem. We'll reselect that so that you can see it. Again, as an example, at BPSK63, which is a slower mode, we're sending at 38 seconds. We'll use BPSK125, and you'll notice it is now moved up to 20 seconds. So depending upon the medium where you're sending it through either a simplex operation or through a repeater, which may have a timeout, that is specific to this application. All right, we'll choose net preamble for our demonstration purposes here so we can explain what is going on. When I hit net preamble, you'll notice in the transmit buffer the information that is saved in the macro, which we will demonstrate here in a few moments, is now seen on the receive buffer, and an indication of that is by the TR switch is red, and also the signal link device has a push to talk, which is red, indicating that we're communicating with the radio equipment. All right, as discussed before, when we have used a macro, we haven't talked about that, so we'll go up and right-click on the macro and bring this macro device open so that we can see how to configure this file. We can pull this down and we can raise this up where we can actually see all of the various configuration functions. On the right-hand side, you have a selection of commands that you can tell what command to go. We won't go into all of these because they're in detail in the FLDigi configuration and information files. But the two critical functions that you want to understand are the transmit command, and it's indicated by the less than and greater than sign with the capital TX. We put that command in the macro so that it will cause an effect to turn the FLDigi program on, which was previously indicated in the TR control. Then you can type into this macro whatever you wish to say from the keyboard, and once you have done that, you can store this in by applying. This receive command at the bottom can be moved around and functioned as however you wish, but it always wants to be at the end of your macro statement so that when you hit the macro button, left click on the macro button, you will go into the transmit mode, which we've indicated down here by the TR turning red. And once we have sent the data that is stored in the particular macro, the receive command now is seen, and it will cause the FLDigi modem to toggle from transmit back to receive. We'll hit apply, save, and we'll close. If you right-click on the macro that you're going to configure, you'll bring the macro up. If the macro is closed and you left-click on the particular macro, then that macro will be sent. So remember, left-clicking the macro will activate and transmit the contents of the macro. If at any time you've made that mistake, you go down to the right-hand corner and hit TR, and that will immediately stop that particular macro. So let's remember, if you want to transmit the macro, it's a left-click function. If you want to review the macro and edit it, it's a right-click function to go into the macro and change whatever you need to edit and confirm. Always remember to hit apply to save any of your edited functions, and then go to close. All right, as discussed in previous, we're going to scroll down here to find the transmit command in the list of command functions. And we'll highlight that transmit command, which is indicated by the word transmit, and we'll click on the green arrow up above, and you will notice that the transmit command now has been transferred from this file to the macro. And we'll space that down so that you can see the transmit command. These commands can be entered into the macro file that you're building manually by using the keyboard strokes. This is something that each operator should become familiarized with, and you can do that by going to the online help controls, the beginner's guide documentation, and when you click on that, you'll be able to review the beginner's guide to FLDigi, which will give you all of the various functions that you're wanting to deal with. I would suggest keeping a copy of this beginner's guide handy on a thumb drive or some other function that you can learn more about the FLDigi program. All right, I have typed in a message in the transmit buffer to show how the various functions between keyboard applications work. Keyboard-to-keyboard functions can be accomplished by typing your message into the transmit buffer, much as I have done here. One of the things that I will always ask that every operator do, place your cursor at the left side of the screen and hit enter at least twice. This gives you carriage return, much as in the old linotype days or teletype days, so that all the functions start at the left side of your screen. Always be sure then to return your cursor to the right-hand side of your text so that when you go into the transmit mode, your information will be correctly transmitted. You can now manually select the transmit function, and as you will notice, your information is now transmitted up into the receive buffer and to the other stations. Once that information is completed, you will again manually close your TR switch. If you wanted to use a TR macro for this function, you can do this function by using the commands and typing in your information into the receive buffer and applying, closing, and sending that information, and the command functions in that buffer will cause it to go into transmit and go back to the receive mode. Just another application of FLDigi, something that you should learn on your own as you become familiar with a particular application.